Hey guys, I'm back and here's my top 10 episode 2's from the modern series. Enjoy! Hello guys, I am back once again with a brand new Doctor Who top 10. Now in this top 10 I will be doing my top 10 episode 2's from the modern series. Now as I promised in the last video, I will be doing my top 10 episode 2's, and here we are, we're finally doing it. As I've watched every single episode 2's from the modern series, I've now put them all into a list of my favourites to my least favourites. And so without further ado, let's get straight into this video by starting off with number 10. Starting off at number 10, we have episode 2 of series 5, The Beast Below. Now the reason why I've ranked this at the lowest spot, number 10, is because I can never get into the mood to enjoy this episode. This episode, in my honest opinion, is completely so boring and so generic. It's really too simple for me. I just don't find any enjoyment out of this episode. It doesn't really stand out to me as a really great episode. I see it below average. It's so boring and I completely switch off within like the first 5 minutes of the episode, and then I just cannot get into The Beast Below. It's so boring and just really unengaging for me in my personal opinion. But anyway, that's at number 10, The Beast Below. Now for number 9. At number 9, we have episode 2 of series 1, The End of the World. Now for me, I quite enjoy this episode. For me, this is the start of all of the bog standard average Doctor Who episodes. The End of the World isn't really that special at all. I mean, we get to see Rose's first trip in the TARDIS to the future, to the end of the world. What an amazing trip that is going to be. And I really do enjoy this episode a lot. But there is just nothing special about this episode. It's nothing eye-catching that this is one of the best Doctor Who episodes of all time. It's quite average, it's quite bog standard, and it's just very much your standard Doctor Who episode that you'll have literally every single day. There's nothing really special about it, but I do enjoy it in some way, shape or form. Well, anyway, that's at number 9, The End of the World. Also, did I mention there are loads of characters in this, many different species, which is a good element that I like, by the way. And so, let's move on to number 8. Arriving in at number 8 now, from number 8 to number 6, it was really tricky to put what episode should I put this at. And so I've made my decision by putting at number 8, episode 2 of series 8, Into the Dalek. Now, Into the Dalek is quite an unusual one. I found it quite interesting, going inside a Dalek for the first time, going through all of its pipes, its ventilation systems, and just finding out everything inside a Dalek for the first time. I did enjoy it in some way. It was really good. It's very much like a very great, solid Dalek story. It's not really overall fantastic. I find it just a very great, solid Dalek story. I thought the beginning with like Clara and Danny just really put me off. I just really wanted to get back to Capaldi, and also with Rusty named as the Dalek in this episode, which I really wanted more of their confrontation within this episode. However, the Daleks in this are executed really well. Not like in most of the other Dalek stories in the new series, where they completely do not do anything. I think for all of the Dalek episodes that have appeared in Capaldi's era, Into the Dalek is the best episode to have the Daleks, because they do so much action, they blow stuff up. But the Daleks in another episode, which I'm going to get onto a bit later on, hardly do much at all, and you think you know what episode I'm talking about, which will appear hopefully very soon. But yes, I thought Into the Dalek was a very much great kind of bog standard Dalek story. It was a really solid Dalek story. I thought that the Doctor, we saw more of his dark personality within this episode. He was really good in this. I didn't really like the Colonel or like the Commander Blue in this. I think she was basically holding a gun for most of the episode, which I just didn't really like, and I just didn't really like her character in general. Clara had some funny moments. She tried to be funny, but just it didn't work out. It just didn't work out at all. And so I thought that was a really bit awkward. And just the Danny and Clara thing, just don't want to talk about it because it's just way too awkward for me to talk about it. Anyway, let's move on to number 7. At number 7, we have episode 2 of series 6, Day of the Moon. Now for me, this episode is the second part of the series opener for series 6. And I did enjoy the first part, The Impossible Astronaut. I thought it had some good moments, but I think Day of the Moon is much better on its own rather than another two-parter. I think that Day of the Moon on its own is truly great. I really did enjoy it. I think I enjoyed the beginning, I enjoyed the middle part, and I think I liked the ending a bit. However, to like the very end where you had Rory and Amy, the Doctor and River kissing, I just didn't like that scenes at all. I think I liked it to the point where the president waved goodbye to the Doctor, and then all of the stuff after that, did not like that at all. And I think from that point on, it basically summed up what was going to be the plot arc for series 6. And as I'm truly hating series 6 at the moment, series 6 is my least favourite series of all time. And it's just because of the confusing shit plot arc. And I just don't really like the plot arc in series 6. And just, I think in this episode, at the very end, it just introduced some stuff which, oh my god, I do not want to watch like the rest of series 6. It just put me off for the rest of series 6, honestly. That's my personal opinion. But just, I didn't like series 6 as a whole. However, for this episode, I really did enjoy Day of the Moon. I found it quite enjoying. I thought that the silence were really good. And I thought that the darkness and the creepy atmosphere blended so well with their villainous, if you know what I mean. Like the silence, they play around in the shadows, they're quite creepy, they're quite mysterious. And I really liked the dark atmosphere in one of 2 scenes, which was really good. And I thought that River, Rory and Amy did really well in this episode. And also the Doctor, he was funny at times. And I think that one of the Carson, I think his name's called, he was such a badass in this. I really did like his character a lot. And I thought the president, he was good. And I think that this entire episode completely based around the whole man going up into space for the first time and going onto the moon where the signs are being destroyed by what's, you know, a TV transmission, if you know what I mean. Like, you know, you said you were supposed to be killing us or something like that, I believe. And then every single human on the earth took that message in, and then whenever they saw silence, they just killed them. And so I thought that was a neat kind of concept, but I think that killed off the silence very too quickly, honestly, because I actually wanted some of the silence to survive, because I think that would blend it in so well with the remaining of the other episodes for series 6. However, with all of the silence just being slaughtered willy-nilly, I thought that was very too quick, that the silence have just been killed off very too easily, honestly. So I thought that was a bit of a negativity about the episode. They were just killed off way too easily, in my opinion. But anyway, that's at number 7, Day of the Moon. Now for number 6. At number 6, we have episode 2 of series 9, The Witch's Familiar. Now, as I mentioned about the Daleks doing absolutely nothing in this episode, well, yes, you're completely right. The Daleks did absolutely nothing in this. They were just standing around, being there just for clickbait. And did they do nothing? Basically, yes, they did nothing, and it was just a waste of matter of opportunity for them to do something brilliant in this episode. However, the Daleks just did not live up to my expectations. I thought the Daleks were going to be really good in this, but however, they did not do anything. However, the one reason why I really rate this so highly is because of the Doctor and Davros's conversations with each other. The conversations between Davros and the Doctor is sublime. That's the reason why I rate this episode really high, because of their discussions. And Davros opened his eyes for the first time ever. Oh my gosh, we've never get to see Davros opens his eyes before. For this episode only, we get to see his eyes being opened for the first time, which was just something new to me, and it was just something new to all of us, and I think we never saw that coming for this episode. And Davros opening his eyes for the first time was just a new side to Davros, and Davros laughing at the Doctor, laughing with the Doctor, is such a different side to Davros than I never expected, and it was such a great episode in my opinion. I liked Missy and Clara's little, you know, discussion with each other. I know they work together really well. I think Clara doesn't really trust Missy, but Missy trusts Clara in some way because of her potential. But I think that in this episode we experienced more about the Daleks having that concept of mercy within them. Like at the very end, when Clara was in that Dalek cage and the Doctor was about to shoot the Dalek when it was actually Clara inside the Dalek. And, oh yeah, inside the Dalek, that's like into the Dalek in some way. That's like a little reference that I just picked out. But I thought that the mercy concept within that Dalek character was a really nice touch. A Dalek having a concept of mercy is something unusual, but I really did enjoy The Witch's Familiar. I thought it was really good. Some people really do not like The Witch's Familiar because the Daleks do not do anything, but I think what really highlights The Witch's Familiar is the conversations between the Doctor and Davros. The conversations are just sublime. I also liked another, you know, scene in this episode where the Doctor steals Davros's chair and basically roams around where all the Daleks are situated in, and he roams around saying, "So, anyone for Dodgems?" I love that line. And then after when the Daleks exterminated the Doctor in Davros's chair, he suddenly had a cup of tea in his hands. Like, how the hell did he get the cup of tea from? And he said, "I'm the Doctor, just accept it." Oh. Yeah, I think it was just basically the Doctor saying, "I'm the Doctor, just accept it." Yeah, that was funny. I really did enjoy that line. But I think the episode in general, I think there was more potential with it. I thought it could be better. But I think that the conversations between Davros and the Doctor was just sublime. And I think that really made me really enjoy the episode. And I liked the concept of mercy. I thought Missy was really good. And I thought Clara was really good as well in this episode. And so that was at number 6, The Witch's Familiar. Now for number 5. Coming in at number 5, we have episode 2 of series 10, Smile. Now, if you have not seen my overview of series 10, then here's a newsflash. Smile is really much like my guilty pleasure of series 10. I really do like Smile a lot. I think the concepts of introducing the emoji robots and the concept of emojis in general, the futuristic world, the creative side and the imaginative side of this episode is truly amazing. I think it's so underrated. Many people truly hate Smile for what it is. However, never doubt the fact that Frank Boyce, although he did In the Forest of the Night, he did a much better job in this episode. Smile is a lot better because the concepts and the whole creative side is just super amazing from Frank Boyce. I think it's much better than In the Forest of the Night, whereas many people like to call it In the Forest of the Shite. However, the emoji robots I really like a lot. I thought the Vardis who were doing all of the killing were really secretive and very threatening in this episode. I also really like the entire futuristic world, the experience of Bill just really enjoying herself alongside the Doctor, and I thought that the plot was quite subtle, quite straightforward, but although it did have a big fat reset button at the end, I didn't mind that, but I was just overall impressed of how Frank Boyce did a much better job with this episode. Frank did his best, and I can really respect him for what he did within the Forest of the Night, but this is one of his truer highlights, and I seriously have to say that Smile is a truly underrated gem, and I truly like it for what it is because it just presents so many amazing concepts. The futuristic world, although it looks peaceful, there is always something sinister about a perfect setting, which I always get that vibe from. No matter how peaceful a setting looks, there is also something creepy about that element, which I really like a lot. I thought the emoji robots, which many people really despise a lot, However, the emoji robots I really do like a lot. I like the way they smile. I like how their skull expression. That's really amazing. And just the way that the emoji robots just come up to people and just hug them in some way, and then you see the bodies just flying out of the building and just attacking the humans and just killing them. That is just something absolutely terrifying to watch. And I think the death scenes of all of the people being killed in this episode is truly threatening, and I really do like the entire experience of Smile. It just presents how it's such of a futuristic world where colonists haven't arrived on here, but they've been here all the time. They've just been waiting in a spaceship for so many years, just waiting for their pods to be opened, and then they can have all of the world to themselves. I think it's such a well thought out episode, and I think Frank Del Boy did a much better job on this episode rather than his first story in The Forest of the Night. Smile is a really underrated gem, and I truly love it for what it is. And so that's at number 5, Smile. Now for number 4. At number 4 we had episode 2 of series 7, Dinosaurs on a Spaceship. Why did I put this at number 4 where I could put literally all of the other episodes much higher? Why did I rate Dinosaurs on a Spaceship at number 4? Well, if there's any point where I feel exhausted, tired, and just really fed up in general, the one story I go to is Dinosaurs on a Spaceship, because it really cheers me up a lot. I find so much enjoyment with this episode. It's so funny, it's so comedic, and I just like how it has a very straightforward plot. It's not very complicated, it's very much of a straightforward plot arc with really great characters, really good characters that really develop into much different characters, and they just experiment with the characters. David Bradley's in this as, I can't really remember, you know, Solomon, I think his name's called in this. Yes, he's really good in this. David Bradley as Solomon, he is absolutely amazing in this. I like his dark personality, talking alongside Matt Smith. I just think that the conversations between Matt Smith and Solomon is just so fantastic, and I really like Brian in this, and also he does appear in The Power of Three for like another episode in series 7. But I really do enjoy Dinosaurs on a Spaceship. The dinosaurs are really good. They're much better in Invasion of the Dinosaurs because of how, you know, now we have more, you know, advanced effects to create better dinosaurs. However, the dinosaurs, they are really good in this. I don't see them as a pointless thing in this episode. I do find them as a real threat because they are quite threatening, and they do try and kill the Doctor in some way, which I do like that. And the Doctor, Rory and Brian get to ride on a Triceratops. I mean, how cool is that? I would love just to ride on a Triceratops and try not to be eaten at the same time. Yeah, I just find so much enjoyment with Dinosaurs on a Spaceship, and honestly, it's one of my ultimate guilty pleasures that I like. Some people truly despise Dinosaurs on a Spaceship, but I really love Dinosaurs on a Spaceship because it's one of my guilty pleasures. I just find so much enjoyment with it. Really great characters, really good direction, but also this episode was written by none other than Chris Chibnall. Yes, next year's showrunner. He wrote this episode, and for me, I truly really enjoyed this episode by Chris Chibnall, and I think that this is one of his best episodes just as a normal writer. But what happens if he becomes the showrunner, which will be next year? Imagine how many amazing episodes will he do alongside with a female Doctor. Well, there's going to be a lot of confrontation whether people will enjoy series 11 with a female Doctor, but whether if Chris Chibnall can do a much better job with his writing, better than Stephen Moffat. However, never doubt the fact that Stephen Moffat has done an incredible job on all of his series throughout his era. So I'm never doubting the fact that he did Heaven Sent, one of the best Doctor Who episodes of all time. However, I think we're moving off the subject, but I think Dinosaurs on a Spaceship is a very much underrated story, which I really love as a whole, and I think it definitely needs to be more appreciated for what it is. but it's truly one of my guilty pleasures that I just really love, and it just really cheers me up after a really busy and fed up day like any other day when I'm working. It just really cheers me up after a really boring day at work. It is just such a great episode in my opinion. And so that was at number 4, Dinosaurs on a Spaceship. Now for number 3. Coming in at number 3, we have episode 2 of series 3, The Shakespeare Code. Now, up to this point, I absolutely adore every single episode 2. I think all of the episode 2s from this point on are really amazing episodes, and The Shakespeare Code is one of them. I absolutely love The Shakespeare Code. If there's any historical person that could feature in a Doctor Who episode, it has to be William Shakespeare. I mean, who does not love William Shakespeare as a character, as a person in history? He is one of the best people in history. He is absolutely sensational. He is a genius. He is the genius to create the brilliant, best words that he could possibly think of. If there was one man to create brilliant and sensational words, it has to be William Shakespeare. And the guy who plays William Shakespeare in this episode is truly sensational. I love his performance as William Shakespeare. The Doctor and Martha are truly remarkable in this. I love the witches in this, the witchcraft element. I really do like it. Connected to much of the late 1800s kind of century, but also I really do like this entire episode a lot. I find so much enjoyment with a very much light-hearted historical episode. And when you have William Shakespeare set around in this kind of time, in this time period, I absolutely love this episode. It's just so subtle in some way, but also it has some serious elements, like the witchcraft element. Like, that was really good. I thought that the entire thing itself, the characters are really sensational, and I think just the entire thing, William Shakespeare at the centre of everything, joining Martha and also the Doctor, is such of a joy to watch. Just to see 3 of them work together, and just to see the Doctor saying just great words, and then William Shakespeare saying, "Ooh, I quite like that. You should write that down." I'm like, no. I'm taking that, Doctor. And then just see the Doctor bantering with William Shakespeare. It's just so funny to watch. Oh, the Doctor, you can just see it from his reactions in this episode. He honestly adores William Shakespeare. And I mean, who does not love William Shakespeare? And having him in a Doctor Who episode is just one of my true favourites from Series 3. If there is one personal favourite that I could name from Series 3, is The Shakespeare Code. The Shakespeare Code is truly an amazing episode. I can't remember who was directed or who written it, but the writing is really sensational, as well as with the direction as well. Characters are well built up, and I think the whole plot is really good. And especially, I keep saying to myself, William Shakespeare is the man in this episode. Let's move on to number 2. At number 2, we have episode 2 of series 2, Tooth and Claw. The first ever episode to feature a werewolf for the first time in Doctor Who. Who can argue with this episode? Who doesn't like werewolves? I honestly adore werewolves, and I was just hoping for a werewolf story. And if you're gonna choose a werewolf in Doctor Who, it has to be Tooth and Claw. Tooth and Claw is extraordinary. It presents very much like a scare factor. People who are afraid of werewolves, it makes them so afraid of werewolves. And I think that the tension, the suspense, the threat in this episode is seriously intense. I love the suspense, the tension, the atmosphere, and especially the werewolf in this episode is truly phenomenal. Really scary, really threatening, and just the werewolf busting out of the cage and just really eating people alive is truly horrifying, but just really so amazing to watch. But also, David Tennant is absolutely brilliant in this, as well as with Rose Tyler, trying to amuse Queen Victoria, saying like, "Oh, are you amused, Mum? Because I'm so not amused." And then Queen Victoria at the end says like, "I am not amused." And then like the dog's like, "Oh," and like, "Oh, I told you." Yeah, I know, but I think Tooth and Claw is an extraordinary episode. Many people really forget Tooth and Claw, and if you have to say one episode in particular that can include a werewolf, which episode will you pick? It has to be Tooth and Claw. I mean, there is no other episode to feature a werewolf, and the music in it is truly brilliant. Murray Gold doing the music in this is truly fantastic. I really like all the characters in this, like Sir James Robert, but also Queen Victoria, and also those henchmen as well, who kick badass as well in this episode, kicking around all of the villagers. Oh, it's just really intense action. And the werewolf in particular, I keep saying to myself, the werewolf is truly extraordinary. It's such a really great episode, and who could not like Tooth and Claw? It's really well written, and also it's well directed as well. So that's at number 2, Tooth and Claw. Now for number 1. And finally, at number 1, if you have not guessed already, it's pretty obvious, isn't it? It's episode 2 of series 4, The Fires of Pompeii. Who does not love the Fires of Pompeii? I absolutely adore the Fires of Pompeii. The whole history of Pompeii is truly, truly fascinating. It also has Peter Capaldi in this episode, not as the Doctor, but just as a normal character. I mean, seriously, if there's any episode with Peter Capaldi, it's going to be at number 1 for sure. And Peter Capaldi in this episode as his character is truly wonderful, and just to see him not as the Doctor is truly different for me, because I always see him as a very much dark Doctor. However, playing his normal character in this episode is such a very different sight to see, and I truly enjoy his performance as his character. I can't really remember what his character's called, however I remember him being absolutely stunning. But also I think David Tennant in this episode as the Doctor, he is truly so fantastic, because he sticks true to his guts. He tries to reverse history, but he knows what could happen if he tries to alternate the course of history. He always stays true to himself, like William Hartnell in the Aztecs, like you cannot rewrite history, not one line of it. And the Doctor always convinces Donna, like, not to tell the people that a volcano is going to erupt and you have to evacuate out of here right away. The Doctor stays true to himself, and he always sticks to the course of how he lost all of his people on Gallifrey, and how he does not want to do that to all of the other people in Pompeii. He stays true to himself. He lets history take its course. He allows the volcano to erupt, and that's how history takes its course. He lets history take its natural accord and does what it can do. Because if he tries to reverse it, then you know what could happen. He could rip a hole in the fabric of reality, and he does not want to do that. But the Doctor's lost more people, like he's lost people on Gallifrey, but also I think we get to see the true conflict between the Doctor and Donna in this episode. Like Donna saying, it's not fair, go back and save him, Doctor. And I just think that the arguments, the conversation with Donna and the Doctor are truly wonderful in this. The Fires of Pompeii is truly a magnificent episode, written by James Moran, and I can't really remember who was it directed by. However, this episode is truly one of the best episode 2s that you could ever guarantee for. If you honestly love Pompeii and its history, then this is the episode for you, because the characters are seriously so good in this. I think the villains, the fire creatures, the like half stone, half magma creatures are really, really threatening. You have some really great characters in this, but also I really do like the entire story itself. The entire episode just plays along with the whole Pompeii's in danger, and it's like leading up to the volcano day where everybody's going to get killed by the volcano. But then right at the end, the Doctor saves Peter Capaldi and all of the other people as well with Peter Capaldi, and he says, come with me. That is so relevant, and what I see from that, I see much of a foreshadowing that when David Tennant says, come with me, and that's basically foreshadowing that Peter Capaldi will be chosen as the next Doctor, whereas now he is now known as the Doctor until Christmas, where he gets replaced by Jodie Whittaker as the first female Doctor. But Peter Capaldi in this is truly wonderful as his character, but never doubting the fact that Donna and the Doctor are truly wonderful in this, and I love So everyone in this episode, the characters are really, really good. I absolutely love. I think Karen Gillan's in this episode as one of those people who has all of those eyes on her hands and stuff like that. And so I thought that she was really good in this. I thought that the creatures, the fire creatures, were really, really threatening. But just the entire episode itself, Pompeii itself, and how you cannot alternate the course of history, how history must take its own course. It's very much like a modern day version of the Aztecs, like you cannot rewrite history, not one line of it, but very much one time. It's very occasionally that the Doctor would usually change one thing. There would usually be one survivor or possibly 4 survivors at the catastrophe in Pompeii. So the Doctor does save Peter Capaldi and also 3 others as well. But I think it's mainly for the cause that Donna gets accepted into the TARDIS and then they go off to do their normal adventures as they do. But I think that this is the real starting on point for the Doctor to really have Donna as a companion, as a proper companion. And this is the reason why Donna is a wonderful and awesome companion. She is just absolutely sensational in this, and she has a big part in this episode, as well as with the Doctor. We get to see his much darker side, we get to see his backstory, and he fights off the villains with a water pistol. How awesome is that? And well, that is the end for this top 10 list. So thank you very much guys for watching for this video on my top 10 episode 2s. I hope you have enjoyed it. Be sure to leave a like on this video, and also please comment down below and tell me your top 10 list on your top 10 episode 2s from the modern series. Please comment down below because I'm really interested to hear your opinions, and be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thank you very much guys for watching, and I'm really glad that I finally got this video out of the way and done with. So probably in the next video I might do another review or maybe another merchandise showcase, but we'll see what I get up to in the next video. But anyway, thank you very much guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Until then, have a great day. See you guys later.